Good evening. Welcome to the live stream of the Dorchester School District 2 Board of Trustees September 14th board meeting. These meetings are held on the second and fourth Monday of each month and always provide useful information regarding the operation of our school district and schools. These meetings are recorded and are posted on this page at the conclusion of the meeting. Before the meeting begins, you'll want to know about the following back-to-school updates. The DD2 Back-to-School Guide is now posted to important links at dd2.org/backtoschool. This interactive PDF is a valuable resource that links directly to online content, including registration, health and safety, technology, safety procedures, transportation, district policies, food and nutrition, how to get involved, district and emergency communications, and contact information. District-issued devices have been distributed to students. Detailed information is available at dd2.org/backtoschool on the technology page. Under important links, you'll have access to technology support, student device information, internet access resources, hotspots, and more. Also, the 2020-2021 Parent-Student Handbook will be available this week at dd2.org/backtoschool under important links. It is a comprehensive and interactive resource that includes important information such as curriculum, policies, school operations, and more. We are now hiring for part-time employment through our Extended Day program. If you love working with K through 5th grade students to provide homework help, arts and crafts, outdoor activities with social distancing, and fun, then we want to hear from you. The Extended Day counselors are paid $11.50 an hour. Opportunities are also available for high school seniors with an early out. To apply, visit dd2.org, click the Employment tab, then select Classified Support Staff Vacancies to find job ID number 607. Again, thank you for joining us this evening, and make sure to follow us on the Dorchester District 2 Facebook page. Good evening. Welcome to the live stream of the Dorchester School District 2 Board of Trustees September 14th board meeting. These meetings are held on the second and fourth Monday of each month and always provide useful information regarding the operation of our school district and schools. These meetings are recorded and are posted on this page at the conclusion of the meeting. Before the meeting begins, you'll want to know about the following back-to-school updates. The DD2 Back-to-School Guide is now posted to important links at dd2.org/backtoschool. This interactive PDF is a valuable resource that links directly to online content, including registration, health and safety, technology, safety procedures, transportation, district policies, food and nutrition, how to get involved, district and emergency communications, and contact information. District-issued devices have been distributed to students. Detailed information is available at dd2.org/backtoschool on the technology page. Under important links, you'll have access to technology support, student device information, internet access resources, hotspots, and more. Also, the 2020-2021 Parent-Student Handbook will be available this week at dd2.org/backtoschool under important links. It is a comprehensive and interactive resource that includes important information such as curriculum, policies, school operations, and more. We are now hiring for part-time employment through our Extended Day program. If you love working with K through 5th grade students to provide homework help, arts and crafts, outdoor activities with social distancing, and fun, then we want to hear from you. The extended day counselors are paid $11.50 an hour. Opportunities are also available for high school seniors with an early out. To apply, visit DD2.org, click the Employment tab, then select Classified Support Staff Vacancies to find job ID number 607. Again, thank you for joining us this evening, and make sure to follow us on the Dorchester District 2 Facebook page.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our meeting to order and thank all of you who are here present and those who are listening through our stream. And at this time, I will need a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Guthrie made the motion. All right, and seconded by Ms. Gail Hughes. Any discussion? All in favor? Would you raise your hand? Thank you. It is unanimous. Now we'd like to ask Mr. Farnsworth to give us the invocation.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair. I hope everyone is having a fantastic Monday. If you would like, you are more than welcome to join me in tonight's invocation. Please bow your heads if so. Lord, we join together tonight during unprecedented times like none of us have ever seen before, during a time when your wisdom and guidance are needed more than ever. We understand that we are called on to lead from a place of deep reverence and know that the burdens upon us now shall one day pass. Lord, we know we must be strong in the face of uncertainty and forge a path forward for all of those under our care. Above all else, we are thankful. We are thankful for the amazing people you have placed here in our district. We are thankful for our first responders, military members, and frontline workers across the globe who sacrifice everything so that we may meet here in freedom tonight. We are thankful for your many blessings. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And at this time, we do have public comments that are pertaining to things that are on the agenda. And the first person that we would like to invite to come forward is Mary Rita Watson.
Good evening. My plan was to speak tonight at tonight's meeting about supporting social and racial justice training for students, parents, and staff. And instead, this meeting is evident last week. After closing out my team's meeting on Friday and preparing to leave, I checked my email, and then there was a survey. The timing of this survey and the point of the survey was unfortunate. After a week of e-learning exhaustion, we were now being asked if we should abandon the plan rooted in science to make things easier and just go face-to-face. Of course, we all want to go face-to-face. It is our art, it is what we do, it is what we are good at as educators. But does the science say for us to do this? Not at this time. The proverbial beehive was stirred and many opinions were shared all over social media. The school district, who usually has it all together, is looked at as the beacon in the state, was not at that point. And whether the community thought the decision was right or wrong, it had already been made. Bringing this decision back to life was reckless and unnecessary and now very time-consuming. So instead of discussing curriculum possibilities about how to improve racial justice education in our school district, tonight we are here doing this again. It is an unfortunate waste of time, but hopefully the outcome will be to stick with the science and stick to the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Jennifer Simmons, are you here this evening?
Good evening. As you know all too well, we have embarked on a year in education like no other in our lifetime. I've yet to meet any individual who has expressed that this was the exact start that they were hoping for. But I have met and or spoken with numerous individuals who said that regardless of the current state of affairs, they are determined to meet circumstances head on and make it work. Last week, that is exactly what I witnessed firsthand. Teachers, students, parents, counselors, media specialists, administrators, all meeting it head on and working diligently to make it work. Were there bumps? Yes. Were there setbacks? Yes. Was there frustration? Yes. Were there victories? Definitely. Were there relationships formed between teachers and students? Absolutely. Were there moments when teachers met students' pets and family members? Yep. We encountered what I termed as productive struggle, and we grew together. We truly made a giant step forward in 21st century learning, a term that can be categorized as an educational buzzword phrase. But last week, we moved it from the buzzword category to the action category. We have been working towards this for some time as a district, and we've laid the foundation to take this step. Recently, the state recognized DD2 as an e-learning district because of the infrastructure and the plans that have been developed and put into place. Now, regardless of pandemics, hurricanes, ice storms, epic floods, learning in DD2 will no longer grind to a halt. That recognition and designation did not come because we submitted a plan that called for us to press replay on 20th century learning. As with anything that's new and innovative, there will be setbacks, frustrations, and productive struggle, but what there cannot be is undercutting and demoralizing statements made from individuals who are tasked with setting the course, and that is what happened this weekend. A social media post by one of our elected board members was made that categorized last week as wrong and detrimental to the well-being of our students. While those exact words were not used, what I can only hope was that the unintended message was clearly sent. We failed our students. I can assure you that this is the message that was received because I've heard it more than a few times. The post mentioned that the author had heard through phone calls and emails. It did not mention visiting our schools, seeing firsthand the interactions that were occurring. It just referenced secondhand information. This is unfortunate and it's unacceptable. I embrace leadership as a form of serving. I have a quote in my office that says, "If serving is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you." The position you hold bears great impact in moving this district forward as we immerse ourselves in 21st century learning. How will you now serve the community that has elected you to do so? How will you establish trust that your word is good? Will it be through detrimental statements based on secondhand information that impedes progress rather than promotes
Ma'am,
learning?
Your time's up, but
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I now need to have approval of minutes of our regular meeting, August 24th, 2020. Mr. Farnsworth made the motion, Ms. Crosby seconded it. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, it is unanimous. And at this time, we will hear from our superintendent with his annual superintendent, his monthly superintendent report.
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, that's right.
There you go. Thank you very much. Well, school has begun, in case you didn't notice it. Yes, as the two ladies both have spoken, this is a year like no other year. We have planned, and again, you never know how it's going to turn out because there's so many events that take place. For 20 years, I planned to open school with school buses, opening day bells ringing, children all arriving at the same time or within the first hour. That's what I'm used to. That's what I'm good at. That's what we do. That was not the case this year. I went the first day of school, and it just didn't seem right. It wasn't the first day. The halls were clean. They were void of children, void of teachers. It was like a dead man's land. But I took it upon myself to walk down the halls, the beautifully clean halls, with sanitation right all around, reminding me of that. The few adults that I did see were wearing their mask, and they kept their distance. I went into a couple of the teachers' classrooms, and I went into special needs. I went into kindergarten in particular, the younger children, to see how this was going. I watched as the teachers in both classes, they kept telling the children how awesome they were for what their responses were and would show them things. The real part was how awesome the teachers were. And I wish that people could see them. They were in the privacy of their rooms, teaching the best that they could on the preparations they made of something they've never done before. And so there they are on a leap of faith, trying to do, and here's their superintendent sitting in the room. This man must be judging me for what I'm doing or I'm not doing. Long story short, I enjoyed my time there. I saw that we had a lot of hitches that first day. As I came back, each district employee was in all the schools last week. We sat, we talked about the wonderful things we saw and the things that we were bothered by. They were mostly technology glitches. So I took it upon myself to talk to superintendents in all the other schools, and those superintendents all said, whether they were face-to-face, they were e-learning, they were hybrid, whatever they were using, they were having a nightmare with technology. So that was true all across the state. So we weren't alone in that. And I didn't want the public to feel that, and knew the board members, that it was a terrible week. It was a very good week under terrible circumstances. It's the opposite of that. And I'm proud of our teachers. I was proud of our administrators. I was proud of the parents that I taught with and the children that I saw on television, on the screen, on the computer screen. It was very uplifting that things have changed. This old man has seen maybe something transpire that no one ever dreamed would have come true with what has happened with us going to the situation that we're in. So we've had this week a lot of emails, mostly sent to the board members, not to me. I've received very few, maybe a dozen. And I've received maybe, other than the ones you sent me, I got 100 from you, but I had like a dozen. People all over the place with different things, a lot of misinformation, a lot of judgmental, emotional type decisions that's just not factual. I had to remind myself, my confidence when I left here Friday was destroyed. I had no confidence. I was beaten down by the comments that I had. I felt unsupported. I felt in bad shape. Then it dawned on me, the people that I worry that feel unsupported are our teachers. And I'm not having that. So I've spent too long working with teachers. So I lift our teachers up. They're the people that I work for. I serve the teachers. I'm a servant leader. I model that to my administrative staff, who is second to none. As people compare us with neighboring districts, they don't know that I know about neighboring districts. I have friends in all of them, including the highest offices in those districts. I'm friends with those superintendents. We talk every week about what's going on. They've had very similar situations. One county near us has changed their model at least 5 times in 6 days. That is very troubling for our parents and our teachers to try to do. We have stayed the course. Berkeley has stayed the course. I have to commend them. They chose face-to-face, and they've stuck with the same model since back a couple weeks before school started when they picked it. We did the same thing for a different reason. So we're all out there doing the same thing, and we're comparing notes. No one model has met the expectations of anybody as being the perfect model. A lot of issues to deal with. But we've had this concern that I think that Ms. Watson and others have alluded to, the talk that brings them here tonight, the concern like, why are we talking about this? We already have a plan. And so I wanted to just address that for a second, because it was the first week of school, and when we hear from the constituents in our community, we have to listen to them. They're the parents that we serve too. So we have to hear their perspective. It doesn't mean it's right, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's our job to clarify and communicate what we know it to be. But most importantly, what we hope it will turn out to be. It's the future. It's the hope that we have. We want to build confidence in our teaching staff, our administrators, our parents, and our students that the best days are yet to come. The district's on the right path and will do the right thing. So there's been the talk of let's change course. We're so close. The data that came out today, and I think you have it in your packet, you can see that we have definitely taken a turn for the better. We have been moving forward the last couple of, matter of fact, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks now. We have been moving every week. Now, next week could be troubling because it's been predicted by the press, of course, who believes them, but they say that with Labor Day, we could experience some additional setbacks, but that's next week. Right now, going into that, we have really done well. Look how that number went on the percent positive. Went from 11.3 to 7.7, which keeps us in the medium range, but overall it's medium. It keeps us, yes, it's moved us from high to medium. We were already low in the trend in incidence, but then look over on the left column, the incidence rate. It was 157.9. It once was 557 on July 27th. It's down to 108.1. If it drops below 100, that word will change from medium to low. So we could easily have in the 7.70 has to go to 5 or below. It's very possible that as early as next week, if we don't have that backward trend as some are predicting, certainly by the week after, and certainly no later than the first week in October, we should be low all across the board, a genuine low. It's what the people, and that's the only thing we have to go on. It was not emotional, that is factual. And that's sort of the course that we set. Why do we follow the course? Because the health data tracked by DHEC should be the primary data point on which decisions are made. That's what we set sail for. We're on our way across the ocean. It's rocky, it's stormy, and guess what? We know where we're going and we need to stay there. You take a chance of moving in a different direction, I predict we may not make our journey like we thought we would. Survey results from the teachers and administrators and staff show that nearly 70% felt we should stay the course. There was like 10% that had other suggestions. Most of those suggestions were conservative, more conservative than what we're doing now. They wanted to stay at e-learning. Or they wanted to make sure we didn't do anything until after Christmas, or not at all this school year. So it actually, that number is probably closer to 75%, which is about as high as you could ask for. I think some of the, just looking at the emails and things that we had, there was no numbers. They pretty well were. You asked me to make sure we stayed on this chart of 2 weeks' notice.
So that we have enough time to make the adjustments to the bus schedules, one, and so that parents can have the opportunity to adjust to those bus schedules as well. We always give them plenty of notice so that they can adjust and be ready to receive their kids. Otherwise, we have small children without parents, you know, at the bus stop, and we end up bringing them all back to the school, and it blows up the whole schedule.
Because we usually publish those routes and all in the paper, and we try to do that to help them out so they can work around whether they can bring their children to school, carpool, or let them ride the bus. So, and then this year was a different year. We've asked parents to help us by trying to carpool and to bring their children. And therefore, when we did have to use the buses, we truly could do the social distancing that the state requires at this point in time. We cannot load the buses up. We cannot have 3 to a seat, and that's how many would be on the seat. So we have to bring in like half at a time. That's hence the hybrid method. That and the space that we have in the schools.
And on that, we're to bring in the K-4, the 4Ks through second grade. We have 90 buses that are working during the midday to do that out of 133.
So that's like 30 buses.
Huge undertaking.
Per thing. So when I asked you if you can bring in third grade, fourth and fifth, which would be a perfect scenario, and a lot of people are asking that now. We crossed that bridge months ago. And what was your answer?
Well, not without being allowed to put more people on the school buses, which the state has restricted. So we
As
just
long as we're in
don't have the
social
capacity.
distancing, we can't, anything else will overload the buses, and we just can't do it. So that's our issue. Do away with social distancing, and we can do anything just about we want to do. We can't mix the two. You have to have one or the other. And since we chose the health pathway, that's sort of tied together, and that's why that was chosen. Thank you very much, Mr. Show. Same thing with food service. Sodexo, our new business partner, right here. Tell us your name.
My name is Michael Zaney. I'm the resident district manager for Sodexo, K-12 dining. We are aligned with the district in providing social distancing feeding style through hybrid. We would be unable to support social distancing face-to-face. We are currently shopped for and staged for dining based upon the number of schools and the number of students that we expect in each school currently. I would need the better part of 2 weeks to make any kind of a change to a different model.
We're talking about food for 26,000 children.
Yeah, right
So-
now we're feeding 1,200, not 24,000.
Yes.
So it
that's
takes a little bit of
big-
time to change.
A little bit of time, and especially since you're new in the district, and all this is new for all of us, so I can't even coach you on it. I asked you to look at the other districts. Y'all are working with like 60 of them.
Yes, sir.
And around
59
us.
districts in our region. One is face-to-face. A handful of others are attempting to move to hybrid this week. But over 90% of our sister accounts are e-learning.
Okay, thank you. So they're monitoring the same kinds of things that we are. What about after-school care? Mona, you're here for Kathy Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Why did Kathy Bishop ask me for additional time?
Ms. Bishop asked for extra time because due to no summer activities and closing down extended day, then many of her workers did leave and find other employment. So right now she cannot serve the population at this time that need extended care.
So she's in emergency mode. We got an advertisement in Sunday's paper, a huge one, and hopefully we're getting a lot of results from that.
Yeah,
But we know that's going to kick in the minute we announce we're doing the hybrid, which we have done, and we begin it Monday. We look for those roles to double and triple, and then when we go face-to-face, it's going to be quite large.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay, thank you, Mona. I can bring up another half dozen people, but I meet with my team every week, and we discuss the issues, and it's the team that made the decision. I do not make the decisions. I know I get paid to make them. I get the blame, and I get the credit. But I have a team of wonderful administrators who tell all perspectives, and all of us don't always agree. We have different perspectives, and we put them all on the table, and just as you do with the people that you work with, and there's never really a perfect answer. But if we ever came close to having one, it was on this: we do need to have a set kind of routine. It doesn't mean that next week when we begin hybrid, that on Monday and Monday afternoon we are all low. My team will be called together. I have no problem announcing in 2 weeks we are now on face-to-face. So it could work that fast, which is about as fast as you could ask any district to do. So it's not what people think. I think when you see the numbers and the trend, you have to have hope that we are moving in the right direction. We're just moving there safely, cautiously, and putting the best interests of our students first, and our adults that work in the building. As we announced we were doing the hybrid, the notices filled up with parents, again with various requests that missed the virtual school option, and also we received a lot of input from teachers, worried about taking the virus home to family members. And so that is a real situation. They love teaching. Many have to teach, have to work, and they're torn. Do I put my life and the life of my family on the line to do what I love the best and what I'm effective at teaching? I, as superintendent, and my staff don't wish to be put in a position that we make people make that kind of a choice. A lot of scheduling issues. The principals, they're here tonight. Does any principal want to address the scheduling issues that as we change these models and we make any change in anything we ask you to do, can anybody address what that does for a schedule in your school? Oh, Mr. Wilson, you don't have 1,100, 1,200 kids. What you do, we couldn't have a problem.
Well, Madam Chair, Mr. Pye, and the rest of the board, I would like to say that the scheduling has been quite an ordeal, very unusual, and we've had to come together as a complete middle school family to figure out how we are going to make sure we accommodate and serve every student's needs, and even sometimes we have to be very sophisticated with some of the unique accommodations that we have to provide for our special needs population, especially our students with autism. I can't tell you how many times we built schedules. I think we was at number 7 about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so, and that could, we could be, if it depends on the circumstances, if we have to build an 8th schedule, then we will do so. But it's nothing that we won't do for our students, and our teachers and our staff is willing to do whatever it takes to provide the services and the support and accommodations that we need to make sure that we can serve our students. And I just thank Mr. Pye for your support, and as well as for the support of the rest of the leadership at the district office, because you've given us the resources and the support to actually make it happen. Without that, it's difficult. So thank you, and I guess I appreciate the opportunity just to give you a little insight of just what we've done as administrators here in DD2 as Team Dorchester. So thank you.
We needed Kenny Farrell here to tell about how he's handling 3,200 students. And they have all these different course selections, and they try to give them their first 3 choices. They have AP, they have honors, they have all kinds of things, and it's very difficult. We get numerous phone calls about schedule changes all the time. But in these circumstances, when the model is changed, people begin to change their mind and want to do something different. And that adds to the changes that are brought forth, because the school still wants to do what's in the best interest of that student as far as schedule, if at all possible. But when you can do that in the summer when you have large groups of kids and you can move them around. But when you start doing individual students after the master schedule's done, you just about have to fold it up and start over again. So it's quite tedious. Elementary's not near as hard. I've done that. But again, it's hard to get speech and those pull-out programs accommodated. Isn't that, Mr. Nooner? And you can't give them the time they need, because they have to have a minimum amount of time in reading and math, and we have to accommodate students that have those needs. That's the law. We have to do that, and we want to do that. They need that.
It's also really challenging working with the high numbers of kids that we have, that I have in my particular school that need intervention. That's actually
Okay. Yeah, just say it real quickly up here. I know what you're saying. They may not understand what we're referring to. Robert Nooner is the principal of Windsor Hill.
I said it's very challenging also with our kids that need intervention, especially since we haven't seen some of them for over 6 months now. We missed our standardized testing for the state. We use that data a lot to make good decisions for these kids, so that provides an additional challenge. But I will tell you, looking at scheduling, my team, and I know my peers' teams, have been working really well together. We work with our school psychologist. We problem solve, and we pull in teachers to really look at our kids that need some extra help and support. And this can get pretty challenging with our kids in different places. So it has been a challenge at the elementary level as well. And we appreciate everybody's support in working with us. District office has been there to help us. Dr. Capoletti offered her support whenever we needed something with special needs. Miss Estep has helped out too, and I know Dr. Huggins with the technology piece. Everybody's been coming together, and I couldn't feel more supported as a principal. I really appreciate it. It's been a tough time, but I think we've got everything we need to get the job done.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Nooner. All right, that concludes my report. If there's any discussion, I'll be glad to field any questions.
Yes, sir. I just, if I could take a minute. This is an emotional time for everyone. I want to talk to you as if you were just sitting in my living room, sitting with me. But this is emotional because it's something that's never, ever, ever happened in any of our lifetime. I talked to 9 different states where there were educators to get a feel on this board wants these children back in school. We want normality. There are some teachers, I guess social media can be good or bad, and I want you to know, as a board member, I take exception, and it's insulting that they say, we were going to change our mind because the governor was going to give us all kinds of money. Well, you know what? That money is earmarked for COVID, one time. You know how we go to the Hill to beg for money. You know how we go to county council to beg for money. If we thought we could get money, we would never use it on the backs of these children or our teachers, ever. So I'm insulted that that was even said. We would never do such a thing, but I will tell you this. Those who get the money next year that want money, they were going to tell you on the Hill, you got your money last year, we're broke. And the year after that, and the year after that. Please keep having faith that we're trying to do what's best for your children. I have 13 grandchildren here. So, well, some are in Greenville. They're having problems in Greenville too. But I just wanted to read to you very quickly, if I may, board members, 2 emails or two pieces, well, if I can get my thing, from school teachers. The question that was posed was, if you could retire today, would you? And I was so impressed with this, and I'll just take a minute to read it. Oh no, my students are my why. They need a constant during this time. I may be bone weary, tired from attempting to find a balance in this new norm like everyone in here is, but I'm still pushing forward. When my kiddos come to me needing my assurance, I want to be there for them. Then the next one, our profession is so rewarding, especially with our population. My 10 to 20 hour days are a struggle, but then, like today, I see a student work through a problem using strategies that we have practiced. Oh yes, it's so worth it. The next person said, you are amazing and a prime example of why we do what we do. I appreciate these teachers so much. I hope our teachers know that we've had your back every time we marched on the Hill, every time we tell you we do. It's not just words, it's meaning. We hope that you have ours. There have been misnomers because of social media, unfortunately. We're sorry for that, but we didn't want that to happen. Please trust us. It's going to be okay. This is going to pass. So I said my 2 cents worth in, and if anybody else would like to.
Ms. Robinson, I'd like to make a comment if I could. Those statements that you just read to start off with, that's why we do what we do. That's exactly why each and every one of us are sitting here on this school board right now, why we went out there and put ourselves out there to run to get elected. Those teachers that are pouring their heart out every day now in this type of situation they're having to deal with, but yet they're still out there and they're pouring their heart out and they're doing everything they can for our teachers, knowing that they have limited situations, limited availability, limited contact with these children, but yet they're still out there working. That's why we're here, and that's why we do what we do. But I want you to know one thing, Mr. Pye. I am very pleased, I am very honored to be a part of this district and to be a part of what you and your staff and your group have done. This entire district is based on data-driven information, and I'm talking from the classroom to this school board. We based our original decision to follow the DHEC guidelines and to follow the numbers. We base that on facts. We base that on information, data-driven information. We cannot go back on that in good faith at this point. We know that the numbers are coming down, and we want this to happen. We want normality. This is, with all the threats that we're getting, as Ms. Robinson said, and all the comments that we're getting, it's not a day that goes by that we don't have 50 to 100 to 200 emails and text and phone calls that come in. And they're not nice. But we do it because this, we know, is what we're here to do, and we're here to make the best decision, the right decision based on data-driven information that is given to us for our students and for our teachers and for our faculty and staff, taking into consideration our community's inconvenience and the fact that we cannot and we are not able to make quick and sudden changes because arrangements have to be made for these children. When they leave here, they're not only our responsibility while they're here, they're our responsibility when they leave here too. We have to make sure when they get home, they're safe. When they get home, they're safe and they're taken care of. And that is our job. So I appreciate what you've done. I appreciate the research that you've done. And I appreciate the fact that even though we don't make this decision, but we stand behind you in making the decision and listening to us and talking to us as to what our concerns are, that this is a data-driven decision, and we are planning to stick with the plan and move forward. And as things go and gets better, then we'll get back to normality and what we want, the kids in the classroom. Thank you very much, and thank your staff.
Thank you so much.
Does anybody else? Okay, then we'll move on.
Madam Chair, sorry, I was seeing if anybody else wanted to chat for a second. So I will give you my perspective. Mr. Pye, administrators, everybody here, really watching, I'll give you my perspective. And you know, a lot of folks may not know, we are a two-parent working family. We have 2 kids in the district. And so talk about being in it, the past week and dealing with remote learning and the e-learning, it's not easy. It's not. I mean, I get it. Like, as that parent, we went through the full gamut. We had full-on meltdowns in our house. We had technology issues. We had communication issues. You name it, we had it as parents. And so I want folks to understand the other side of it, right? And I promise there's a point to where I'm going with this, because you may not like this first part, but I promise there is a point to all of this. So I want people to understand why there are very passionate people that are saying we need to get our kids back face-to-face right now, 5 days a week. I agree. We need to get our kids back as fast as humanly possible to 5 days a week face-to-face. I could not agree more, right? But I do not think that just having the conversation, you know, I worry, I don't think that conversation in and of itself, we're in times, like you said, Ms. Robinson, where we have never been before. So to merely have a conversation of where we are, where we're going to go, and how we're going to get there, I don't think that that's reckless. So I take a little bit of offense to that. Because again, it's okay to have a conversation. I think in today's world, it's okay to have a conversation. So that said, I told you from a parent perspective, I want us to get back face-to-face. Mr. Pye knows that. He has seen my emails. He knows that we need to get back face-to-face sooner than later, right? But when I go back to, when I think about Dorchester District 2, when I think about our community, and I think about why people come here, why do they come specifically to Dorchester County? Why do they come to DD2? Because their real estate agent probably put DD2 in that nice little description, right? House located in DD2. We have become over decades, not just over days or months, over decades and years and years and years of hard work, we've become one of the premier districts in the state. That doesn't happen overnight, right? As much as we would like to think that it's because of us as board members, as much as we'd like to think it's because of our kids, or even as much as maybe our parents think it's because of them, it's not. It is because of the team that we have in place in Dorchester District 2. So that team, Mr. Pye, as the leader of that team, and our administrators and our teachers, I think about the committees that work weeks and months and the numerous hours that they put in this summer to come up with a plan that was logical, that was reasonable, that was based on science. I think about all that. That's the reason DD2 is a premier district. And we're not Berkeley County, and we're not Charleston County, because if I hear one more time, well, Berkeley County and Charleston County are in face-to-face, if I hear it one more time, I want you to go talk to a parent in Berkeley County and find one that said it was a perfect week last week. It doesn't exist. Not only did they have issues that I can send to emails far surpassing anything that we had. So, I say all that for us to remember why we're DD2. And again, I just applaud Mr. Pye for laying out a well-reasoned, logical plan. I've said it from the beginning, we will never make everyone happy. Not gonna happen. From day one, we knew this was an impossible situation. It is a no-win situation. From the data that I gathered this weekend, from all the comments, from everything I saw, we're in the exact same situation that we were on day one. A lot of people don't like what we're doing, a lot of people do like what we're doing. And when that's the case, I think we've got to fall back on safety. I think we've got to fall back on our team in Dorchester District 2 and our trust and relationships with Mr. Pye and your team. So thank you for what you do. And with that, I will close out my mic. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, it sounds like you're basically agreeing with what Mr. Pye said, with what everybody else has said. Does anybody have anything they want to share?
I just want to add, you guys have said things so well. I am so ready to have life back to normal. I'm sick of this pandemic. I'm sick of masks and just all of it. And I know you guys know you're right there. So I'm over this. Okay, let's move on. But the reality is, it is here, and we are trying to make the best decisions in these times. And Ms. Simmons, when you came up and spoke, that right there should give every parent hope. It made me so proud, because that is why we are the district we are. Because our teachers, our faculty, staff, every bus driver, every person in our district is about the children. And it's not great, this circumstance. We don't like it. We want to move on. But you can bet that the teacher, if your child has a teacher in DD2, they're going to do whatever they can do to make sure that your child has success during this horrendous time. And I thank you all. I say my prayers for y'all, because I know every day has got to be tough. And parents, I know they're pulling their hair out as well. So thank you. Thank you all for what you do.
I would like to echo what Ms. Tupper said, and Tanya, Ms. Robinson, and Ms. Hughes, and Mr. Farnsworth. Mr. Pye and your staff has done an excellent job of working this from months ago and giving us the information that we needed to make an informed decision. And I think the decision that we made a month or so ago was the right decision. It's supported by data. The data tells us things are getting better. The data tells us that with the survey, there's an overwhelming percentage of teachers and staff members that say, stick with the plan. We're close. We got out of school on March 14th. That's when Governor McMaster said, we're closed. We've been here 6 months to the day. We're not that far away. I think we're first and goal inside the 4-yard line. I think we're close. We're really close. I know it's frustrating for parents. I understand where Justin is coming from. My daughter wants to go back to school. Everybody wants normalcy. How can you blame them? How can you blame people for not wanting normalcy? But we have to stick with the plan. Decisions that we make are well thought of. We have experienced people on this board. We have experienced administrators. We have people who help us make good decisions. And by golly, we need to stick with those decisions.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to say something? Ms. Crosby?
Well, I guess I'm going to be the black sheep here, since somebody's already called me that. First off, Mr. Pye, your staff, your committee, your cabinet, there's not enough appreciation or thanks for the hours that they've put in. And as an educator, I know that. I know what it took. Now, we've never had a pandemic, but I know the hours that y'all have put in to do what you need to do. Y'all know that I was a teacher for 30 years. I know that kids come first. Kids are our first choice for safety, for anything. I mean, what else do you go to school? You go to school for kids. It's all about the kids. I have always been an advocate for the teachers, and you know that, Mr. Pye. I've stood up for them when we've been in executive meetings and things have come up. I've always stood up for the teachers. Is that correct? Always. And I believe in what they do, and I appreciate what they do. Now, as far as social media and what's been said and what's been going on, I have responded to some things. And, you know, that's what the First Amendment says you can do, that you can respond and you can have your freedom of speech. But do you know that the only people that condemned it or anybody that's ever said anything negative was only teachers? I can read you an email too. I mean, I can share one real quick with you that came from a parent. I just wanted to thank you for being on the right side of the parents and kids. I know it's not easy due to a small number of loud mouths, but please don't let them get to you. I know easier said than done. Even on the right side of things, it can be hard to be bold. When I spoke in front of town council the other night, I read comments calling me fat, making fun of my hair. It stuck for a minute. Then I prayed on. God wants us to be our authentic selves, just as Jesus was for us. I'm praying for you and will always have your back. So everybody is not negative like a few people that we've heard from. There's just as many for it as against it, and we know that. You were hired to make the decision, Mr. Pye. I respect that. I've always been one to reach consensus, and whatever the board decides, I would certainly go along with it. But I want you to know that I've got a third grader at home, my grandchild. As a matter of fact, it's my great-grandchild. And I have very few hairs left. These are glued in from dealing with him on that computer. And it's not all him. And it is not the teachers. The teachers are doing a wonderful job. Between the glitches and the kids being so antsy and the butts up in the front of the cameras and their mama laying into bed with them, and I can just go on and on and on, or I can't find it, where's it at? And the crying, all the things that have gone on that I've just sit there and watched. It's happening, and it's expected. These age children are not computer literate. Oh yeah, they can play those games, but they're not computer literate. They're not learning a thing, Mr. Pye. They're not focusing enough to be able to comprehend what's being taught. Like I say again, it's not the teacher's fault. The teachers are breaking their neck. Okay, honey, I'll be with you in just a minute. If you'll just sit tight a minute, I'll try to fix that glitch, or I'll try to do this. Those teachers can't get any blame. Now, I'm sorry that there's a few individuals that don't like what I say, but you know what? I don't like a lot of things they say. But you know what? I don't say anything ugly back. I'm not a rude person. My mama taught me better. But I say that, yes, I want the children back in school 5 days. I would like to see them, whether it's half days or what, I'd like to see them with a consistency, that they know that they get up in the morning, they go to school, or whatever time they go, afternoon, or whether it's morning or whatever. I think they need some kind of consistency for them to know you are responsible for this work, you will do this work with your teacher, da-da-da-da-da. And that's my opinion. We all have one. But like I said, I will follow consensus of this board. If it's their choice to follow the plan right on through. I like what Ms. Robinson said, that we didn't necessarily need to go 2 days on hybrid. We could go ahead and switch, and you even said that after next week, then maybe the next week of hybrid, then maybe the next week we can go back full time. Is that correct, Ms. Robinson?
No, it depends on the data. He just said it's getting low. Well, I'm not going to speak.
But didn't you say that?
It's getting so good that we see that happening as early as 2 weeks. It may be 4 weeks. It may not be at all this year. It's the data that we receive. We're planning. If we have 2 weeks' notice, we can move to whatever.
So we're going to stick with the 2 weeks.
But we don't have to move back to e-learning. I'm just hoping that won't occur.
Well, we are starting next Monday instead of waiting the 2 weeks. We're starting next Monday to start.
That's when we were supposed to start.
Yeah.
We're back to hybrid.
Yeah,
Hybrid
that's
starts
right, hybrid next week. But did you not say that there was possibility of just doing hybrid 1 week and then going?
2 weeks.
No, I
We'll do a
thought you had-
minimum of 2 weeks.
Okay, misunderstood that.
Yeah. But once you see that it's 2 weeks, we won't have to wait 2 weeks.
That's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying.
We're hoping not to, but you heard what the people said here. It depends on what day of the week it is, what's going on, but having been in the hybrid gives us a chance to begin practicing, and maybe we can head off some problems that would help us to move quicker.
Right.
Again,
Right now, we don't know what to expect.
again, anything that has been said, whether it was social media, to your face, telephone calls, all these dozens and hundreds of phone calls and messages we get, it was not meant in any disrespect or any disregard. And we appreciate hearing from people, and we appreciate hearing their concerns. There's no doubt about that. Now, how they come back and react, it's another question. But I fully have supported you. I've been on this board for 12 years, and I have supported you on your decisions, and I will go along with the consensus of this board. But I just want you to know, you already knew my feelings, just like Justin said, you know my feelings. 5 days is where it needs to be, whether it's half days or full days. But I will follow the consensus of this board.
Okay, is there anyone else? This has been therapeutic for us. Thank you for indulging. It's been pent up for months and months, so please know, have faith. We are trying. We want 5 days, more than you know. No, I know parents with 2 or 3 kids want it more than we do, but we're going to get there. Okay, we need to move on now, and under our personnel report from Ms. Elena Finari, I need a motion, and we can do this in open session if everyone is okay with that, for approving the resignations and recommendations for 2020 and 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. I need a second. Ms. Tupper, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, we're going to move on to our board committee reports. We have a new temporary board policy for the first reading. I will turn it over to our chair, Mr. Evan Guthrie.
Yes, so the policy committee has for first reading tonight a policy ADD face covering, and this is just as we transition the students back to school to have a policy for all the face coverings, and this is only a temporary policy, so it's not a forever policy. So it's just gives the superintendent and health officials sort of leeway to make rules and make sure that the students have a set of rules and policy for the face coverings as they transition back. And for first reading, we have policy ADD face covering.
Okay, for the first reading, I need a motion. But Ms. Crosby made the motion. I need a second. Lisa Tupper, any discussion about that?
I did just want to quickly add, and of course, this will be up on the website for folks to look at, but we did get a couple questions about the dress code and masks, and so I just think it's important to point out this policy addresses that specifically, so it talks about masks falling under the district's dress code. So
Thank you. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, it's unanimous. That's everything, Mr. Guthrie? Thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to the South Carolina School Board School Law Conference and webinar update. I attended that. Who else attended that? Lisa, Gail, Justin, do any of y'all want to comment on that?
You always learn something. It was interesting because it was the first virtual conference, and so I thought, okay, we're going to sit there for hours and have to listen, but the speakers did a great job of keeping you focused and there and keeping things not lively because it was law, but keeping you aware and engaged. So I learned.
I think one thing I learned, because it was very current, it talked about the 80 hours of COVID and the 2/3 pay if it's a family member, not you. It did talk about masks. that there can't be any kind of vulgarity on it. We have the same dress code, so that means children shouldn't be in bikinis or heading out to the pool or anything like that, and teachers fall under the same. I'm just trying to say they have all kinds of sick leave that they talked about. I took all kinds of notes. Waivers really don't matter as far as masks go unless it is health reasons with the medical doctor or a religious reason. However, they've never found a religious reason up to this point. Usually, they're already covered, they said. But I thought that it was very current and very needful for me. Anything y'all want to add? Okay. Then the Scba Delegate Assembly voting selection. Ms. Hughes is on the state board, and I think we get 2 delegates this year, an alternate, and 1 delegate. Is that correct?
Actually, when we had our last board meeting, they asked that we limit it to 1 person per district.
Okay.
We will receive the same number of votes as we have had every year, which I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Smith, but I think there's like 9, we have 9 votes? 9. Yeah, this district has 9 votes, so we will receive the same number of votes, or we'll have the same number of votes, but they're asking that we limit it to 1 person. And he actually asked, because I will be there, so he asked for me to talk with the board members and see if it would be okay with them if I were that person, since I have to be there anyway because of being on the board. If there's a problem with that, then of course we can have one, they will allow one other person to come.
So you can't be a state delegate?
There is no such thing as a state delegate. All the delegates are all for the districts, because you vote within your district. You don't vote within the state, on the state level. You vote within the district. So I would still be voting for the district, even though I'm on the state board. But I have to be there because it's a state function, so I have to be there anyway. So that being said, they said that what we could do is we could discuss it if it was okay with everybody, if I did the voting or whatever. But we could discuss it beforehand, and I could find out what the consensus was as far as how you felt about the things that were going on, and then I could vote accordingly. And then, of course, the votes will all be posted so you can see how the votes were rationed out.
Okay, so no alternate, just 1 person?
Well, the alternates are all included in there.
Okay.
As a general thing, but they're wanting 1 person per district just because of social distancing purposes.
Right.
And the fact they are having it at a larger location, but still we're unable to have that many people in-house at one time, so.
Okay.
But they're asking that of all of the districts, not just our district or so.
Okay. All right, well, I guess, Justin, you would be the next pick as a legislation chair, so I guess you're off the hook if everybody's okay with that. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, all right, thank you.
Like I said, I can bring that information. Of course, all of you will get that information as well, but we can have a discussion. We can have a time during, maybe even if you see fit to have a short workshop or something before or after a meeting to discuss it. We can do that so that we can get a consensus, so I make sure that I'm speaking for the full board as opposed to just, going there kind of blind, just winging it.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you for doing that for us. There are no public comments at this time for anything. The other was for the agenda, so we're going to move on. I need a motion to go into executive session for proposed contractual negotiations for Somerville High School Stadium with Town of Somerville and Dorchester County, as well as legal advice regarding impact fees. Okay, Mr. Farnsworth, Ms. Crosby, any discussion? All in favor? Raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
No public comment. There was no public comment.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed agreement that's already been signed, the proposed agreement in regards to the Somerville High School Stadium project that has been signed currently by County Council and Town Council.
It is made by Justin Farnsworth and seconded by Brian Mitchum. Is there any discussion?
I would just like to recuse myself, Chairman.
Thank you. So, all right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, any opposed?
Now, I'm just going to abstain. I just don't, I have some questions and some concerns.
No, you can abstain, but it means, yeah.
But I'm going to abstain from making a decision either way, only because of the fact that I still have some questions on the contract. And I just wanted it to go on the record. That's just how I feel.
Thank you. You have every right to do that. Thank you. Okay, the motion passes. It is, let me think, 4 to 1 abstain and 1 recused. Okay. Now, do we have any other business? Wait a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. 5, 1 abstain, and 1 recuse. I want to make sure we're right. Now, is there any more business that we have tonight? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Evan Guthrie, do we have a second? Second, Ms. Gail Tupper. All those in favor, raise your hand. I abstain. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Mr. Mitchell, let me know if that doesn't write it.